Hey guys, Christian from Shazper Films back here today doing another movie review with you today, and this time we are covering Doctor Strange. But before we get into it, be sure to check out all links in the description, including a link to our playlist containing all of our other movie reviews. And also down there you'll see links to all of our short films, social media sites, and my other channel, Chris Vlogs, where you can see the behind the scenes of my life and this YouTube channel. So be sure to go check those all out. Once again, all links down in the description. So today, like we do with all more movie reviews, we'll have a non-spoiler and a spoiler section, so you can choose what parts you want to watch. I'll have a time code up here of when the spoiler section starts if you want to just jump straight into that. Okay, so for the non-spoiler section, I want to start off by setting aside the fact that I'm a huge Marvel fan. I would still rate this as one of my top 3 movies of all time. And the thing is, it just had it had really good cinematography and special effects. Marvel definitely did a great job of showing that cinema, like any sort of cinema, can be accomplished. Like, you can accomplish anything with cinema and create illusion. Like, this movie did such a good job of showing that. All the different special effects and all of, like, the image quality they had with it, it all looked amazing. It was so awesome. Probably one of the best movies I've seen in terms of actual visuals. But they didn't just have great visuals. Along with that, they also had a great story. Very simple, easy to follow, but at the same time, it was complex and interesting enough to actually want to follow along the whole movie and keep your attention in. And along with that story, it was one that made you think. Like, there were just certain aspects of it, like you'd hear a comment or two every now and then that would just kind of stick in your brain and make you think, well, yeah, that's kind of right, or, you know, I mean, they kind of were going down the right path, but at the same time, it's like there's this argument. And it just, like, it festered in your brain the whole time as you're watching the movie and still enjoying all these fight scenes and watching all this other stuff happen. So that was really cool, that mix that they got in there. I really loved it. And then, of course, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch, such a great actor. If you've ever watched Sherlock, you'll know that. He's amazing. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. And he nailed his role as Doctor Strange. It was just perfect casting. It was like having Robert Downey Jr. for Tony Stark. Like, they fit. They fit the role so well that you can't just help but enjoy their on-screen presence. And then, of course, you know, Marvel's signature end credit scenes. The 2 they had for this movie were so great, and they set up so much for future movies, so much potential for these future movies. It's not even funny. I won't go into depth on them. Those will be in the spoiler section. But, oh my god, there were so many good things that Marvel did with this movie. There was only like one issue I had with it, and it's easily explainable. And it is in the movie, so I won't even get into it. But, oh, such a great movie. If you haven't seen it yet and you don't want any spoilers, click out of this video and go watch it right now. It's on Netflix. Just go watch it. So anyways, let's go ahead and move to the spoiler section. So obviously another Marvel signature, well, I guess it's not really Marvel specific, but they love to throw in that comedy, and they do such a good job with comic relief, and this movie just, I don't know, they did so well with it, like stuff like Wong and the Cloak of Levitation, and then just all the different comments, especially pertaining to Doctor Strange's name. Oh, it was so good. Thank you, Marvel. That comedy, like, just that little bit in there just made such a difference. If that movie, like, went straight serious the entire time, it still would have been a great movie, don't get me wrong, but it would not have been nearly as good. They needed that comedy in there, especially with Stan Lee's cameo. I love Stan Lee's cameos in all of the Marvel movies. They're just hilarious. And then another thing about this movie is it actually stayed on the main story throughout the entire time. There was no, like, straying or getting into these really weird subplots that honestly just didn't belong. They did have subplots, but they actually related to the main plot and built it up and made it that much more exciting, which is what I love so much about this movie, is that main story. Once again, it's so simple that you can follow it, but complex and interesting enough that you didn't want to look away ever. And, you know, all these different things they had building up towards it, and all these different foreshadowing situations, like the conversation between Steven and Mordo, where they were talking about doing the right thing and having to either kill people or finding another way to do it. And it set up the rest of the movie so perfectly, because then it shows Mordo's approach to things, where he's just trying to kill people and just trying to stop them before they stop him, basically. While Doctor Strange comes up with different ways to end up solving the situation. Like in the last scene, when he goes against Dormammu, Mordo's solution is brute force and just taking out the enemy as quick as possible. But Doctor Strange instead uses his imagination, uses the Eye of Agamotto, which is totally sweet, by the way. I love the Eye of Agamotto. But he uses that to put Dormammu in a time loop because Dormammu is supposed to be timeless. So then he shows him a taste of time that humans have to go through constantly, so that he could put him through suffering and create a bargain to get Dormammu to leave. And it was such a good build up to that whole scenario. And the fact that Doctor Strange was able to get his way, where he was able to solve the problem without having to kill anyone. It was just such a good conclusion. I really enjoyed it. And I don't know, Marvel just did a good job weaving all of these different structures together and just making everything work and be extremely cohesive with each other. And then, of course, at the end credits, like I mentioned earlier, those were really awesome. Like the one for the build-up for Thor Ragnarok. Excellent scene. I loved it. Thor and Doctor Strange. I mean, come on. Can you get two better people together? It was just too great. I'm super excited for Thor Ragnarok because of those end credits. Once again, if you haven't seen it, you'll see it at the end of Doctor Strange. It was, you always got to watch those Marvel end credit scenes because they're just so beautiful. But they set up some really good potential with Thor Ragnarok. It was just a conversation between Thor and Doctor Strange, but one that you can tell is going to build up to be something epic, because now you're getting the mix of Doctor Strange with the Avengers. And it's just that one step closer to getting to Infinity War, which once again is going to be super awesome. And then also in the other end credit scene, they left such a huge potential for Doctor Strange 2. And that was with Mordo going and taking out the man who was healed at the beginning. I believe his name was Pangborn. Don't quote me on that. That's probably wrong. I'm probably just slightly off on that. But he goes and kills him because, or not, it wasn't kill him. He takes away his magical powers. And basically his entire goal is just to hunt down sorcerers now, which sets up the antagonist for Doctor Strange 2, while Doctor Strange continues to most likely be, well, at least the main character, possibly not the protagonist. We're not sure yet. But there's so much good potential, especially at the end of the movie when they talk about him mastering the Eye of Agamotto, and then once he does that, then he gets to wear it full time. So that would be great potential, especially if he ends up becoming the Sorcerer Supreme. Like, there's just so many different routes they can go with this that can make it really awesome. And speaking of protagonist and antagonist, this movie also did a really good job with that, because not only was Doctor Strange a protagonist, so was Mordo. You see him change throughout the entire movie. He starts off believing fully in the Sorcerer Supreme, and then when he finds out what she did and the way she lived, then he turned and became evil, essentially, at the end of the movie. Like, you see him going away. In his own mind, he's doing what's right. But to the rest of the audience, he's evil. He's just going against what is good and needs to be done. So then hopefully he will become the antagonist in Doctor Strange 2. I'm really excited to see that. So once again, they just did Marvel did such an amazing job with this, with the look, with the story, with the build-up, with the potential for new products that they can release. It all was just so amazing. Like, thank you so much, Marvel. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. And this is not a paid endorsement, by the way. Even though it's probably obvious that's not. I love Marvel. I loved this movie. Once again, this is like one of my top 3 movies of all time. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. Like I said earlier, it's on Netflix. So if you've not seen it, go check it out. It's worth your time. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for dropping in. Really glad to see you back here. Be sure to like and subscribe, and leave comments down below on whatever you'd like. Maybe something you'd like me to cover for a movie review or a product review, or you just want to start a discussion. Feel free, down in the comments. Totally open to everyone. So anyways, see you all in the next video. Peace out.